Andy and I are headed uptown to Park Avenue and the apartment he shares with his wife, Kate. I'm really curious to see how these two headstrong designers manage to compromise on their styles. Uptown, Upper East Side, very different vibe, I assume.
It's very different. But my wife said at age like 35, she said, I know it's not cool, Andy, but I want to be uptown. I want to have a tree on my street, and I want to be near the park. And I said, it's your turn. We've been downtown, and it's time. And we were planning to have a family, and so we wanted to be close to a park. So we found an old apartment and moved in and then renovated for a year. We would argue over what we wanted. I didn't want to repaint the walls, for example. I liked them as they were. Putting in furniture, I didn't want to reupholster a lot of things that I'd found. I liked the way they upholstered looked. Kate's aesthetic had a little more color to it. She just wanted it to be clean, and I wanted it to be more lived in. So we combined the two. It actually is very comfortable. I'm happy with it. I kind of miss living in old lofts, but the fact is it wasn't that charming. I don't miss how the electricity didn't work or how the plumbing was always a problem.
Or the fifth floor walk-up.
We just forget. We romanticize the past and think that those were great times in New York, but they were only great times when we were young and just didn't have any responsibility.
First thing you notice, hell of a lot of art on the walls.
Yeah.
I've always been a big collector.
I really discovered it in New York. I really didn't collect when I was in school. Some are from friends, some are from unknown people, and some are from people we've known for years. That's a John Lurie, who is the saxophone player, Lounge Lizards. Tiger was a gift from a friend of ours. These are found through antique stores. Some were found in frames, like this etching of a man. It looks like a pencil drawing. It's faint and it's obviously been in the sun for too long. It's a beautiful piece, but yeah, it's how you frame it and put it together. And I think it's nice for this entryway. So we just treated it like a little space for all the work we like.
One thing you can't help but notice is that it's not a minimalist apartment by any stretch.
I don't think we've ever really been minimalist. I mean, we tend to fill up empty spaces, we'll move things around, and we'll hang different things at different periods in time. But this is an accumulation of a collection that's been building up over 25, 30 years.
Is this the red room? How are we referring to this room?
Well, Katie refers to it as the red room. This was the bedroom when we first moved into the apartment, and we made it into our television room. So this is where we spend a lot of our time.
My wife would spend months picking the exact right red. How long did it take to get this red?
Katie is actually very, very specific about color. So she worked out, I'm sure there were 4 or 5 different versions that we tried over time to get the right red, and she still isn't satisfied with the red.
I mean, even like just talking about that maximalist sort of style, even like the boxes on the table, the books, got a lot of stuff going on. How do you keep all this stuff displayed without it turning into a big, messy hoarder's apartment?
I think even though it doesn't look like it, we do restrain ourselves and we do edit. We collect things over time. People now know that we have collections and they'll actually give us a gift. And so we try to find places for it and we fill up corners of the room. I don't think it's quite, we won't be on the show Hoarders anytime soon, but it's getting to be too much. So we'll go through a sweep and we'll clean it up.
Sweep it out. All right, we're making our way into the dining room. One thing I've always found is that a lot of times when people have dining rooms, they never actually use the dining room.
We actually eat dinner here most of the time.
Oh, really? When you guys do entertain, how do you entertain? Is it a sit-down dinner? Is it buffet? Is it like, what's your trick for a good dinner party?
It's usually a sit-down dinner, but we don't want it to be formal, even though the space is more formal. We try to make people feel comfortable.
You have a very small kitchen over here, I can't help but notice, in the dining room.
This is our daughter's kitchen. She's a chef in training, and we watch Top Chef with her all the time. And we hope she'll be a chef so she can cook for us someday, but she's actually picking up on that. Yeah.
Kate, who left the business 3 years ago to raise their daughter, sat down to talk about how she and Andy blend their unique points of view, both on the job and at home. On the way up here, Kate, Andy and I were talking about your move a while back from downtown to uptown.
Yes.
Good move, bad move? Do you like it up here? What's your take on the Upper East Side?
I love it. But I just love how beautiful it looks. And also I kind of like the fact that it's not considered a very hip area to live in. I think it makes it more of a neighborhood. Very Woody Allen to me.
Yes.
The neighborhood. I always see...
You literally see Woody.
We literally see Woody walking down the street, once every month.
You do. I understand why. I remember seeing the movies thinking all of his little spots and shots were so beautiful. And never imagined ever living uptown until we found the apartment. Actually, the apartment is why we moved up.
If you look at the apartment now, does it look like what you thought it would look like before you started renovating?
Almost exactly.
So this turned out like you wanted it to?
Better.
Better even.
Better, for sure.
Andy was saying there was a little negotiating in terms of this and that.
He'd like it to look a little more like the Munsters,
Yes.
all
Munsters.
ripped up, and I don't mind it looking casual because I like that. I'm
Not the
very
Munsters.
casual. Pretty close. My thing is, I'd rather it be worn in by us. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. When you look at a place, I think it should, reflect the people that are living in it.
And it's also in some ways nice is to reflect both personalities, that one person likes
Right.
this and another person like that. You do find a way to mash them together, and that's what's interesting is that mashup. I don't understand, how are you married and how are business partners at
Yeah.
the same time?
We always had this simpatico working together, and we still do. We work on projects personally, and we'll still do things together, or I'll show her things I'm working on. I still want her opinion because it's the one I value most. We started together before we were married. We actually were partners first. That was part of our
Right.
relationship. So it was built in. It wasn't like if you and your wife today went into business together.
that's not gonna happen.
You've established different parameters or different boundaries or rules. We never established those. But the day-to-day, sitting there and having to make decisions together and having different opinions coming from different places was difficult. But I think at the end of the day, we'd kind of say, all right, let's just move through this.
So, I got an obvious question. Do you have a next chapter in your career, or are you doing creatively, or do you need an outlet?
I don't
What's
know.
your
I mean, I
stuff
think
that
I'll do something. I don't know what it is, and I haven't thought that much about it because I don't want to put that much pressure on myself to actually think that much about it. The biggest question I get asked all the time is, do you regret leaving? And I think, not yet. Not to say it won't come, and maybe it'll never come, and maybe it will, I don't know. But I think it was the right decision. I'm glad I did it when I did it because it enabled me to spend a lot of time with my daughter. And I'm enjoying this time. And now she's entered kindergarten. A few years from now, it'll be slamming the door on me. Get out of my room.
Hang out with the kids when they still like you.
Exactly.
Has she started dressing herself yet? Does she have an
Yeah,
opinion
she does.
style-wise? Do you
She
approve
does.
of her style?
I do. I mean, most of it is stuff that, she thinks I dress her like a boy, which I don't. I don't know where she gets it. But because it's not pink and sparkly, then, she thinks it's a boy. I don't want to discourage her from dressing the way she wants to because my mom allowed us to. And I look at some of it and I think, what the hell were you thinking? I would never let her go to school like that. I mean, this is the big one. If you screw this one up.
If you screw this one up, we'll really feel terrible
Right,
about it.
yeah.
That'll be our final
It'll be
project, right? To see
decide.
down. So we really put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do this one well.
Well, I think she'll turn out fine. Guys, thank you so much, Andy.
Thanks,
for
Adam.
all day with me.
was great.
Kate, thanks so much for
Thanks.
joining
Good to
us. It's
see
been a
you.
lot of
Sure.
fun.
Thanks, Adam.